Howdy, Ags. Welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M. And we're dedicated to helping entrepreneurs improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998.
Whoop! Well, we got a little story for you, Ags. Nick Romer, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2017, is an active duty Marine Corps captain, and he has one of the best side hustles that I know of. First off, I don't think we've ever had an active duty entrepreneur on. So that in and of itself is pretty awesome. And Chris, am I right? Or do you remember anybody?
I think you're right. No, we've had former active duty. We have had students, right? Several students that are entrepreneurs, but never active duty. So first off, that's, entrepreneurship is crazy in and of itself, but having other businesses and having a day job is amazing. But if you're an entrepreneur, you just know your life is hectic and nothing's easy. But Nick's side hustle is one of the best side hustles and one of the coolest companies I've ever heard of. Bell's Old Glory Shop is a military memorabilia company that specializes in helping service members, their families, and their friends by honoring the service members' commitment to the military. This is done by creating shadow boxes or flag boxes, plaques, stuff like that. And that in and of itself is awesome. And I mean, I've got a shadow box on my wall to memorize my time in the military, but it's the why behind what Nick created that is so amazing. Nick created this company in order to deal with his and to help work through his own PTSD and TBI and to honor the life of one of his dearest friends. And when you think about someone that has been able to take that passion and mold it into a company, that just makes it so much more powerful. So pass it back and listen up to Nick as he shares some really good bull.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us today. We are excited to learn about you and your story. But Ags, this is the example of the power of an Aggie ring. So I first connected with Nick through an Instagram reel. And y'all know me, I'm not on Instagram at all, but I just happened to see one of his Instagram reels that he was going through. And I paused it because I saw his Aggie ring as he was laying out a shadow box. And so literally it was from that. It was like, hey, this is a great story. You're an entrepreneur. We've got a podcast that focuses on Aggie entrepreneurs. Let's have you join us. And so here we are 6 months after that initial conversation. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We're super excited to have you on Aggie Growth Hacks.
I appreciate y'all having me.
So tell us a little bit about your story. You've got a great Aggie story. You've got a great serving your country story. And then that has transformed and transitioned into your entrepreneur story. So tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your company.
So my name's Nick Romer. I've been in the Marine Corps for 23 years. And Bell's Old Glory Shop was at the halfway mark almost when we started this journey.
So tell us a little bit about what Bell's Old Glory Shop does. I mean, you got a little bit of your product behind you. And anyone who's been in the military knows what a shadow box is, but I think that you really take yours to the next level, not only with what you do, but why you do it. Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's something that it came up while I was in college at Texas A&M. Someone had asked me to make a flag, and that flag actually is in Rudder Tower in the University Club. It's the one with the bell on it. So if you go in there, that's what they ring to open it, and that's what they ring to close it. That was the first thing that I made, and I started doing that because I was struggling with a lot of things, PTSD from combat deployments, and the loss of a really great friend of mine, Staff Sergeant Vincent Bell. He died in Afghanistan. He was subject to an IED. So all those things, those emotions, those feelings, I didn't know how to deal with it. And something happened when I made that flag. All that stuff just kind of went away. And I was like, this might be something that's worthwhile for my healing. I wasn't charging people. I was just making stuff for people, And that turned into shadow boxes. when one of the MESTEP, the Marine Enlisted Commissioning Education Program participants, was being medically separated. He hurt his knee and he just couldn't go on anymore. And they asked if I could make a shadow box. And I said, I had no idea, but I'll figure it out. And I figured it out. I reverse engineered a shadow box that I had and used really great material and put something really nice together for him to show him that we cared. And we wanted to wish him well on his way out.
But that's such a cool story. So you're currently in the military?
I'm still in. I'm active duty. I'm a captain, and I work at the Regional Contracting Office, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Okay, awesome. So, tying this into Aggie growth hacks and stuff like that, what's the one thing that you learned at A&M that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
It wasn't just the A&M. So school was never my thing, and I struggled through high school, pushed me towards the Marine Corps, but at A&M, Reed Stavanaugh, actually my academic advisor, he coached me a lot and pushed me in the right direction and got me through the leadership aspect of it. Always looking for, even though I was in my 30s, I was still looking for growth. I was looking for someone to, help show me the way. And Reed was one of the guys that did that for me.
Okay, Nick. So I don't want to assume anything, but I think I'm hearing that you were in the Marine Corps. You served as an enlisted service member, and then you came to A&M, and then through that process were commissioned, then continued in the Marines. Is that correct?
Yes, I was in the Marine Corps for about 15 years before I did the Marine Enlisted Commissioning Education Program. I made it to the rank of Master Sergeant E8 before I commissioned as a second lieutenant.
Okay, so that experience being, achieving the rank of E8 in the military, that in and of itself is a lifetime of leadership and working through it, and then kind of going through and transitioning into the officer corps and then leading similarly, but also leading in a different role. That has helped. But then I'm curious that as you've transitioned into an entrepreneur and you realize that you still have to take care of people in the world of entrepreneurship. You have clients that you need to take care of. You have vendors that you need to take care of. If you have people on your staff, then you've got to kind of work through all that. What is one of the biggest lessons that you would say that the military has taught you that has also been applicable in entrepreneurship?
So the phrase "fake it till you make it," I don't like that phrase. I like to be genuine and honest with everything that I do, even if that is, delivering bad news. Like, I'm not going to meet the timeline because, insert reason. And I think that is something that I have given to not only my customers, but to the people that I work with in the Marine Corps as well.
Awesome. So going back to what you guys are producing. You're producing shadow boxes specifically?
Oh, so shadow boxes became like the staple, but we do, because not everybody wants a shadow box, because I'm a leadership major, and the steps of forming a team, like the last part, the adjourning, right, is what most companies do not do very well. It's like you did all this work for them, and then they just fade away, disappear, and they're replaced by someone else. What we have tried to do here is provide an option for everybody. Somebody's just moving from one unit to another. They're not getting out. We do plaques and hammers and stuff like that for them. The signature is with some of that stuff is the Purple Heart wood. That's kind of the direction that we started going with this, because I'm a Purple Heart recipient and Staff Sergeant Bell is a Purple Heart recipient, and I wanted that to be kind of the center of this. So you look at something, that was like, know where that came from. But plaques, we do footlockers. I don't have any of those here, but people collect a lot of things, and passing that stuff down to the next generation is also important. Shadow boxes will last generations. So pass it down from one to another, from grandfather to son or daughter. I mean, the message, the story, it's there. The other side of it is, that shadow boxes in themselves are a reflection of the service. And it's not just the military. We do first responders. We do a lot of other professions. And the mental health aspect of that is a lot of people don't know how to tell their story. Well, behind me, that's a book, and their son or daughter can go up to it and say, "Mom, Dad, what is that?" And it opens up a chapter. Well, I got that when I was here. And the mental health aspect of it is that the actual making it all the way around the circle through the thought. And that's what helps our service members get through the rough times, is being able to discuss it.
And that's obviously, I hear that your company was rooted in that, not only because it was helpful to you, for you to be able to process your own experiences and your emotions and dealing with the trauma that you had, but crafting that to have other people to be able to do that. So has this been a good platform that you've been able to talk about PTSD, to be able to help share and really help brothers and sisters that are maybe struggling with this through this process a little bit more?
It has. So my wife, she's got 150 something thousand followers on TikTok, and she posts pretty regularly about PTSD, military life, PCS, permanent change of station. She posts things about our life that a lot of people can relate to. And her platform has got her in like the military community specifically, but she reaches out to, all kinds of people. Some people who've never even thought about the military. For my Instagram, I put my cell phone number on there, and I tell people, like, if you're having a day, just call me. And I've had people call me.
Wow.
We just talk.
That's cool. So, kind of digging into your business here, and, how you've been growing it while you're active duty military, which is pretty cool. There's not very many entrepreneurs that are active duty, I think. But what's been the biggest challenge, just really in the past couple of years or so as you're growing this business?
The allocation of time. I always say, I said I need an extra 24 hours in this day.
I need that like every day.
Every day. It needs to be 48-hour days. Because I go to work around 6:30 in the morning. I'm there by 7. I'm at work all day and I have an office job now. I'm not going to the field. And because I was Marine Corps artillery Marine before. So we spent our whole lives were in the field. But that's not the job anymore. My job is more, customer service based, it's administrative. So I have the time and flexibility now, which has been great. But again, there's 24 hours in a day. I can't neglect being a husband and a father. So I stack these things, and usually Bell's Old Glory Shop is night ops. So flashlights are out, headlamps are on, and we're out here putting these things together. And I actually hired two active duty service members from the base to help the growth process, because it's been slow. We've grown it really slow, and I've grown it slow, not on purpose, but I'm glad that it did, because to say that I would have gotten an order for like 100 shadow boxes, that would have been very difficult to scale and accomplish. To do it at the quality of work that I put into all of them.
Yeah. So managing that growth and managing your reputation as you grow is something that a lot of entrepreneurs intuitively think about, but then an entrepreneur is like, well, yeah, but it's growth. So that means more money. That means more notoriety. That means you're actually able to achieve the goals and dreams that you want. And it's that balance that you have to maintain the value that you bring to your customer. So if you could describe the customer that you love serving, and not only that you love serving, but that gets the most value out of working with you and your team, what would that customer be like?
So usually they're the ones who are the family members of the service member, and they don't know anything about the military. They just know that mom or dad was, in the military. They don't know anything about the awards. They don't know anything about their uniform, what's on their sleeves or anything. And to me, coaching them through it without sounding the alarm to who they're giving it to, like that is, because it's like when they receive the shadow box and they're completely surprised, and their whole career just comes rushing at them at once. And everybody, usually it's Christmas time, or a big event like a birthday, and, they're surrounded by their family, and they give them this thing, and it is just like, I can't describe the feeling, but just to see that, like they send me videos, and it's like, wow, Like we did that. Like me and the customer, we did that for them. So those are my favorite. Those are my favorite customers.
That's awesome. I love that. You can have such a big impact, with your products and your services. That's pretty cool. So, Nick, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? What's your big, hairy, audacious goal?
And I wrote this one down because I've been trying to push my way into some pretty large organizations, but not just any organizations. They're ones that support the veteran community. They hire veterans. When you go in, you see them because they're wearing camouflaged vests. And I buy a lot of my stuff from Lowe's. I buy a lot of stuff. I try to use small businesses like Clear Vision Glass in Wilmington. I get my glass from them. It's tempered. It's going to survive. It'll survive a drop. It'll survive a little kid throwing something at it. I want to get into those large stores so that they can recognize and connect with their veteran service members and first responders and with those in the community. Like that's the most important part to me, because when people go in there, usually the ones that are going out of their way for everybody, they're the ones with the camouflage vests on. Like they're right there, ready to make things happen for them. And I got coins made, and I gave one to a lady at our local Lowe's, and just told her I appreciated her for always taking care of us when we came in. She's not a service member, but then she told me, he's like, my dad was in the service, and he never talked about it, and we lost him, and she just was able to get that out. And I was like, man, you would have had no idea the connections. So I mean, through them knowing, having a family member or someone that they know, like they all know someone that's in the military, and I feel like that's a great way to connect with the community. Is when you walk in, that's what you see is that they have dedicated a space to a service member or first responder that has really made an impact in that area.
So I love the fact that your BHAG is about growing your community. It's not about having you be the first rank on Google search when they search for shadowbox and everything, and that's great. But to be able to say, look, we are in this together. And whether it's a large organization like Lowe's or a mom and pop shop like your glass supplier, I don't know how large they are, but it's to be able to say, let's work on this together. And yes, we're going to have a great business, but we're going to do it for the service members' families. And that's an awesome BHAG. So good job. You did well on that. I can't wait to see that actually come to fruition.
Yeah, I'm working for it. We did. So I donated shadow boxes to different places, and there's a brewery down the street from us. It's called the Salty Turtle, and they honored the owner's. He was a scout sniper. He honored his team. They lost him to COVID after he had retired, and he'd done many combat tours. He was highly decorated. And I can't tell you that I have gone in there and not seen somebody standing around it, just looking at it, or people that knew him standing around it with a drink, just reminiscing.
Yeah.
And we go there a lot, and there's always somebody looking, always.
Nick, that is awesome. And thank you for sharing that with us. And Ags, if you are looking to be able to connect with someone that you know or yourself that's in the military, make sure you check Nick out. All right, Nick, lightning round rules, real simple. You've got 1 minute to answer each question. So we are Aggie Growth Hacks. What is your favorite personal hack? This could be a blog, could be a book. What can we learn from you?
Well, so not a blog or a book, but I live by the fact that life is hard. Failure is part of the process, and you can't see the future with your head down. So identify the important things and keep your eyes on them.
Love that.
Love it.
Absolutely love that. So what is your favorite business hack, book, or podcast?
Hire people that believe in what you believe in. You can always train them to do what you need them to do. So don't look for skills, at first glance. Look for, that they believe in your mission.
Okay, so I'm gonna bounce out of the lightning round for just a second for a follow-up question, because we've had a lot of discussion with our guests this episode about hiring, and I heard you say earlier that you've actually hired service members, how did you do exactly that? How did you talk to them about what you were doing, and you saw the passion that they believed in what you were doing, and then that allowed you to make the decision to hire them? Or how did you actually do that?
So they reached out to me and asked if they could be part of it. And I said, absolutely. And I asked them, I'm like, why did I name the company Bell's Old Glory Shop? And they said, because of Staff Sergeant Vincent Bell. We read his bio. And I was like, that's all I needed to hear. That was the only thing I needed to hear. And then I told them I was going to pay them, and they were surprised because they just wanted to volunteer.
Nick, that's awesome to be able to find that connection immediately. And obviously you want to compensate, you want to pay your people, but it really is so critical. And I love that was where you immediately went for a hack for a business. What's the best bit of advice that you've ever been given, and how have you applied it to your business?
You don't need things to go super fast. Your business should grow at a gradual rate, at a manageable rate that you can sustain. You shouldn't look for, high dollar wins. You should look for the meaningful ones, connecting with people, connecting with the community. All that other stuff will come. It'll come later on. And when you build it on a foundation of core values and your leadership principles, like, that's when you don't have to worry about the rest of it. It'll do it for you.
I love that. So, Nick, how can the Aggie Growth Hacks family get in touch with you and help and support you and encourage you moving forward?
So, like I said, that my cell phone number is literally on my website. It's my personal number. They can also contact me via email, nick@bellsoldgloryshop.com or bellsoldgloryshop@gmail.com. I monitor that as well. They can contact me on Instagram, same handle, Bell's Old Glory Shop, or through TikTok. My wife's handle is semper.ag, because she was also a Marine, and she's an Aggie, class of 17. And she walked before me with honors. And I have to make sure I say that, because I hung her diploma above mine because she earned the higher GPA.
She earned the higher rank.
Won it. It's up there.
That's awesome, Nick. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your busy day, your 2 jobs, and sharing your story with us. Thank you for what you're doing, not only for your customers, but for the military community at large, and helping us deal with some really heavy issues and some really emotional issues. And your outlet not only has helped you and your customers, but their family. So you probably don't hear it enough, but thank you for doing that. Thanks for joining us. And we can't wait to see you grow and continue to share your story.
Hey, thank you, man.
Well, how about that, Ags? Was that pretty awesome or what? I know that, it was really cool talking with Nick, and I wrote down a whole bunch of notes of all of my takeaways. What was your biggest takeaway there, Greg?
Well, I loved, he dropped a lot of good nuggets, but the one that I really honed in on was where he talked about identifying the important things in life and then prioritizing. This is a guy that has an active duty career, and he's serving our country by doing that. But then he also has to take care of family and home, and he's a father, he's a husband. And then he's also got this company that is doing great work and honoring people and helping people heal. But he has to prioritize it. He has to say, this is the most important thing that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to attack it. And that's just good life skills. But that's also good as an entrepreneur. We have so many things that has to happen every day. But the days that I find the most peace and that I feel like I am most accomplished is when I just simply write down, say, okay, here's the most critical things in order that I have to do. And then you just go knock it out. But sometimes it's just easy to get bombarded with all the things we have to do that we don't do that. And then we just get frustrated. What about you, Chris?
I 100% agree. My to-do list is never ending. So, it is what it is. I've been in business for 23 years. I totally get it. Right. And I 100% agree with that. But the biggest takeaway that I had was really, where he said, don't fake it till you make it. Right. Mm-hmm. Where he said he really doesn't like that. He said, really just be genuine, be authentic, be you. Right. And not to fake things. Right. If you mess something up, let the customer know, right? If your timeline's going to be a little bit, messed up because of X, Y, or Z, let them know. And then I've got a second one where he said, and it kind of pigeonholes right into this, or dovetails right into this, that, you don't need to grow fast, right? To have that sustainable growth. And I totally get that. This is his side gig, at this point with employees, mind you, but it's important because sometimes fast growth is great, but really on the bottom line, it's not, because your reputation suffers sometimes because of that growth. So I think it's important, and it's important to him, obviously, to produce a quality product over everything and to affect the lives of everyone around him. I think that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And sometimes that's the opposite of what we hear entrepreneurs, grow. But it's about understanding what it is. And honestly, didn't ask him this, but I'd be willing that he'd be doing this even if their money wasn't involved. Yeah. He's got so much passion about why he does it that money's a great benefit, but not the purpose. Well, Ags, that's going to do it for this episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. So we hope that you enjoyed it. Seriously, Ags, this is, dealing with PTSD and the service member, some of the issues that our service members have. That's something that's near and dear to both Chris's and my heart. So if you are struggling with this, or you know somebody who is, definitely reach out to either Chris or I, but also Nick. I mean, go to his website, he dropped his social media handles, his email. He'd love to hear from you, and he wants to be able to serve and support. So if you haven't connected with Nick, make sure that you do that. If you haven't connected with Chris or I or Aggie Growth Hacks, make sure that you do that as well. And that when you are done listening to this episode, give a big gig'em thumbs up, subscribe, and share Aggie Growth Hacks so that we can get this podcast and these stories out to more Ags.
We want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head on over to their website to find a program that's right for you. Just go to aggiegrowthhacks.com/McFerrin right now. Well, Ags, join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.